Why, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a Watership Down survival challenge. This is it, guys. I figured it out. After 2 years of making videos, I finally got the algorithm. I know what it wants from me now. I get it. I've mastered the code. Obviously, what the algorithm has been asking for is a survival challenge based on a kids movie from 1978 that most parents won't let their kids watch. This is it. This is the one. It's going blow this channel up. It's gonna make me bigger than that fucking that gopher that like turns his head and is like, huh? And then the fucking camera goes like zooms in. It's just like the gopher looking at you like, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be bigger than that guy. If you've never seen my channel, don't know anything about it, the basic gist is simple. I take a bunch of random characters and I throw them into a scenario and talk about how they might survive, if they even can survive, how will they deal with that situation, what challenges they'll come into that might be different from what the challenges the characters that are already in that survival challenge might deal with, and we just fucking talk about it. That's it. We just throw back ideas. You put your ideas in the comments. You think this character will do this or whatever. It's just fun. It's like we go back and forth. It's you know, it's cool. It's kind of like having a conversation, but you don't have to go outside. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. But I'm wasting up your time. Let's get started. So I'll tell you a little bit about Watership Down. Well, for one, it's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. On the internet in general, meme culture, it's considered like one of the most violent kids films of all time, and that's basically the only thing anyone knows about it who hasn't actually seen it. That's an exaggeration. It's really not that violent. I guess it would be violent and over the top and crazy for people who have only watched kids movies in the last 20 years or so, maybe. But if you go back to the time it was made, which again was 1978, it wasn't super uncommon for there to be kids movies that were about like super real shit and were very, very, very violent. I mean, Gremlins came out in the 80s and there's a scene where a chick takes a gremlin, throws him in a blender and turns it on, literally turns him into soup. Shit happens on screen. That was a PG movie. There was an adaptation of Animal Farm that came out in the 1950s that straight up has this dog character be forced by this dictator character to murder all of his friends, and it's shown on screen. People always say that we were like super Puritan back in the day and now you're kind of more free to do whatever you want, but in reality we have a lot more restrictions now than we did back then that are sort of put on by the people who make the movies. Like there was this massive pussification of films that happened in the 80s where everything just kind of got more like, I don't know, Puritan? I don't really know how to put it, but everything just stopped being as hardcore as it used to be. Then we kind of came back a little bit in the 90s with a little more violence and stuff on TV and with cartoons and kid stuff. And then in the 2000s, basically the full pussification of Hollywood completely went through. And at this point, it's kind of hard to get real themes about real shit in adult movies, much less kids movies. Like everything's just kind of bleh. The only time we get like an R-rated movie is about like characters doing drugs and fucking murdering people and having sex, but nothing's about anything super, super real. You know what I mean? Like Watership Down is a really like real fucking gritty, cool story. The very beginning of the movie establishes that there's like an entire mythology that exists within this film. Like there are gods that created all the animals, and each of the animals have kind of like their own gods, and the animals themselves have their own sort of clans with their own rules, and it just kind of sets up a cool almost fantasy world where all of the main characters are actually animals. And the premise of the movie starts off with one rabbit basically seeing a vision of something horrible to come to his entire clan, and he goes and tells everyone, he's like, I've heard this vision, and this rabbit is stated to have had visions in the past that have come true. So like half the clan is like, we need to leave, the other half of the clan is like, no, we're not going anywhere. And then it starts this sort of not civil war, but basically half the clan decide to kind of mutiny and then just leave and go on this journey to find a new safe location, following the advice of this one paranoid rabbit who saw this vision. Over the course of their journey, they run into all sorts of super dangerous shit, from dogs and hawks and humans who are trying to fucking kill them, to like little traps, like snare traps and shit, to other clans of rabbits who are fucking psychotic and are trying to kill them or take control of power and all kinds of other stuff. And it's just this really cool fantasy story about these rabbits having to travel from one location to another because danger is coming for them. And it's fucking cool. It's a really cool film. I don't really do favorites. It's just not a concept that I care to wrap my head around. Why would you choose a favorite anything when there's so many good things to enjoy? Why would you have just one and say that's your favorite? Sometimes I might be in the mood for this, sometimes I might be in the mood for that. But I will tell you this, there are certain scenes in this movie and characters in this movie that I will never forget and that are on my mind often. Like there's some legitimately great moments in this film. Bigwig and and Hazel are two really fucking cool characters that I still have up in my head as like the upper echelon of cool animated characters. Who the fuck is Simba? Who gives a shit about him? Nah, bro, Bigwig and Hazel are way better. So as I described before, this video is going to be about me taking these characters and basically replacing the rabbits that are making that trip with the characters that are, you know, on the fucking thumbnail of the video. See how they do. There are a couple of rules though, I need to say. Specifically, there's two rules. One, they cannot use any weapons. They won't be given weapons or bombs or knives or anything. So characters like Flippy are not gonna have guns and bombs and shit. He's going to be treated as if he's just a fucking animal like the rest of them. Same thing goes for all the other characters. Fievel Mouskewitz, he's just gonna be a normal fucking mouse for this. The second rule is that the size of these characters has to fit the size of what the rabbits were in Watership Down. So I know Judy Hopps is clearly much bigger than a normal rabbit. In this, she's just gonna be the size of a normal rabbit. This is gonna go the same for Flippy. In Happy Tree Friends, none of the animals match the size of the animal that they are. They're all just kind of the same size, and you have that like really tall moose dude. But for the most part, all these different animals are around the same size. Flippy is a bear. We're not gonna make him bear size. In order to make the challenge make sense, we're putting Flippy in this series being, once again, the same size as the rabbits. He has to overcome all the same challenges as all the other rabbits have to overcome. Otherwise, there wouldn't even be a point of doing this. Like if I say that Flippy is the size of a bear because he's a bear in his own series, that would make it like it wouldn't be much of an issue. I mean, one of the biggest threats in the movie is a dog. A dog's not killing a bear, so like there wouldn't even be points. Given that in Happy Tree Friends, Flippy is actually smaller than a lot of animals that should be smaller than he is, like he's a very tiny bear anyway, we're just putting it in that he's the same size of all the rabbits. He has to undergo all the same challenges. And that's it. That's the whole challenge. Can these guys make it through this journey and find the safe location before this massive threat comes for them and takes all their lives? I don't know. Let's fucking find out. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, join the membership, you get exclusive access to unique videos that no one else could get. And don't forget to check down below in the pinned comment where you get a link to the Discord as well as our second channel where we have all sorts. It's just me, it's just one dude. I don't know why I'm saying we like I'm a fucking corporation. Over there, you'll get videos made by me that are stuff that isn't survival challenge related. So if you're sick of survival challenges, you're like, I want to try something else. Over there, I intend on putting reviews for games, movies, analysis videos, whatever. They'll be over there. As of right now, I do have a review of Superman and one or two other things, but not a whole lot. It's gonna build over time, trust me, we are, for sure. Are you tired of this ad? So am I. Let's get back to the video. First up on the chopping block, we have Remy from Ratatouille, and this motherfucker is dead. He doesn't stand a chance. I'm not even gonna waste your time, like, going into it slowly. He's fucking dead. Remy has absolutely zero survival instincts. Literally, the entire plot of the movie couldn't happen if he did have survival instincts. The whole beginning of the movie shows this. At the very start, his father, brother, and all of the other little rats are all very cautious about going to the outside world, introducing themselves to humans, meeting other people. They're very cautious. They don't eat very good food. They just kind of stay hidden and stay away. That's smart. That's what you should do if you're a fucking rat. But Remy doesn't want to do that. So he drags his brother into a human's house to steal and try and cook a bunch of food in her house. And the only reason why he and his brother don't die is because it's an old woman who's a terrible shot with a shotgun. Have you ever shot a shotgun at a rat? It's almost impossible to miss. This bitch is a horrible shot. This leads to Remy being separated from his brother and winding up in the sewers of Paris. He then eventually goes to the surface and then, not learning his lesson, decides to go into a restaurant with like 30 fucking human chefs and just start walking around inside of there trying to look at all the food and interacting with people. This leads to the kitchen freaking out and catching him in a jar because no shit, again, he's a fucking rat. And the only reason why he survives that is because Linguini, the main human character of the movie, feels bad about killing him and lets him live. And then throughout the entire movie, Linguini protects him and hides him from the other humans under his hat so he can, you know, do all the stuff he could do. In Watership Down, it's very different because, you know, this isn't a fucking Disney movie. The rabbits in this film are aware that in order to survive, much like Remy's family, you have to avoid humans and other animals at all costs. If a human sees you, they will shoot you. They sick dogs on you. Rabbits are pests. Rats are worse pests. Based on Remy's character in this movie, I don't think there's any way for him to survive even if I put him with another group of people. Like, as of right now, I'm saying that Remy is on his own doing all this. All these characters will be. But like, let's say that I just added him in with the rest of the group of rabbits, been like, okay, he can like join them and go on the trip with all them. They actually make it all the way across to the end. Not all of them, but the massive majority of them succeed in their quest. Not only would he be one of the ones that died, but he would very likely get someone else killed as well, just like he almost got his brother killed at the beginning of the movie. His curiosity and outright recklessness mess with the lives of the people around him, cause him to put himself into harm's way, which also multiple times in this movie endanger the lives of his family members. I understand that in Ratatouille, we like Remy because, again, it's a Disney movie and things just kind of work out for him. But his family is 100% right, and if this wasn't a Disney movie or literally any other story, Remy would have been dead in the first 5 minutes of the movie. In a story as grounded, brutal, and realistic as Watership Down, Remy literally can't survive. It's not possible. He has no combat skill, and again, literally zero survival instincts. He just stupidly puts himself in harm's way for the dumbest of reasons. If we put him in the plot of Watership Down, he would leave with the group for sure, but he would almost certainly be the first of all of them to, like, literally the first to die, which is saying a lot, seeing as like the first rabbit in this movie dies before the 20-minute mark. Like, they start dropping pretty fucking early. Remy would break new records in how quickly he gets himself killed. It would be very depressing to watch. Next up on the list, we have Flippy from Happy Tree Friends, and I feel like people aren't gonna like what I have to say about this, because I actually don't think that Flippy is all that strong or powerful in Happy Tree Friends. Like, okay, I get it, right? He's a trained soldier, has PTSD, and he goes on murder sprees and kills sometimes dozens of people in a single episode. So he's kind of like a little cute, cuddly version of Rambo, I guess. My only problem with this is how Happy Tree Friends works as a universe. Happy Tree Friends only has one joke, and that is that when you start watching it, by the end of the episode, basically everyone in that episode is gonna die some horrific death by some over-the-top crazy scenario that happens. This is literally every single episode. That's the joke of the whole series. My reasoning for saying that Flippy isn't actually all that strong is because in the universe of Happy Tree Friends, it's not so much that these characters have these insanely overpowered shit happen to them that it constantly kills them. The joke is that basically anything could kill them. Essentially, every single character that exists within the Happy Tree Friends universe is made out of fucking styrofoam. Literally anything can kill them. Just to get an example, in one episode, there's this lemonade stand, right? There's these two characters, and they're selling lemonade at a lemonade stand. Above them, there's a sign that's made out of 3 2x4s, or maybe 4 2x4s. It's a sign made out of a couple of 2x4s. As they're standing there making their lemonade, one side of the sign loosens and then falls and swings. It hits one of the characters in the face, and normally if you get hit in the face, like in real life, if you were to get hit in the face by this, it would hit you, be like, oh shit, what? Oh, great, okay. And then you just go and hang it right back up. In Happy Tree Friends, this couple of pieces of 2x4 swinging and hitting this person in the face ripped their entire face off. Their face is gone. They then nail it back up and keep selling lemonade, and then the other side falls, and it crushes this other bitch's head. Like, completely crushes their, just a couple pieces of 2x4. Do you have any idea how hard I would have to hit you with a piece of 2x4 in order to crush your fucking head in? I feel like I could drop it out of a plane 30,000 feet in the air and it still wouldn't crush your head. It would kill you. It would cause massive brain damage, but it wouldn't literally crush your entire head. It's arguable if this bitch's head would be crushed if that sign was made out of fucking steel. And it's just a couple pieces of 2x4. That's how this whole series is. At one point, a character gets shot in the back of the head with a nail gun from really far away. It's not like he points it directly at the back of his head. One character shoots it on accident, and it flies across this field and hits another character in the back of the head. Now, in real life, nail guns can't be fired like this unless you specifically set it to that way, and even then, they only fly a couple of feet. In this, it shoots out. Okay, let's just say this thing's like a legit nail gun that fires nails across fields, whatever. It would still only go in the back of their head, like, I don't know, a half inch at most, but in this show, it literally blows a fucking hole through the front of his face. They're just much, much weaker. Flippy once killed a bitch by stabbing them through the chest with a plastic straw. There was nothing stab-worthy about this straw. It was just a regular fucking straw. These bitches are weak. This means that Flippy being able to do stuff like ripping people apart with his bare hands, which he has done on several occasions, isn't nearly as impressive because all these characters just fucking fall apart if anything hits them with any kind of force at all. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Flippy completely sucks. Generally speaking, he almost never dies in this universe, and we've seen him get hit pretty hard hard. But it's not so much that Flippy is a superhuman being, more so that he might be the only normal person and everybody else is just like subhuman. None of that is even the reason why he's going to die here. The reason he's going to die here is because he does not have the ability to control his actions after a certain point. The whole joke with Flippy is that he was once in war and he suffers from PTSD. So anytime anything happens that reminds him of war, from a jackhammer sounding like bullets to seeing a drop of blood or anything like that, he goes fucking berserk and just murders everyone in the area. He becomes essentially a totally different person. If Flippy is trying to make this journey and comes across any amount of violence at all, any kind of threat, anything at any point that might be kind of war-like-ish, he's gonna lose his fucking mind and try and kill a bunch of people, and that will only work against characters who he's physically capable of killing. Like if he's attacking the rats, he'll probably do okay. At one point in Watership Down, there's a part where they're sleeping in a barn and a bunch of rats come and attack him, and there's like this rabbit-rat fight where a bunch of rabbits are fighting a bunch of rats. It's like this whole thing. He'll probably do fine there, he'll kill all the rats. But there are bigger threats in the Watership Down universe than just the rats. There's a big-ass fucking Rottweiler in here. There's a massive hawk. There's a whole other evil rabbit clan that enslaves people, starves them to death, tortures and maims and does all this kind of stuff, who are led by this rabbit named General Woodwort, who's a character that's set up to be like the ultimate badass. He's missing an eye, he's covered in scars. They even say in the movie that the main strong rabbit of the good rabbits would likely not be able to defeat General Woodwort in a fight because of how skilled and crazy he are. Like there's some really intense fights in this movie. There are scenes in this movie where like rabbits will fight against each other and rats will fight against rabbits, all this kind of stuff, and like they'll lose an eye or break their leg and still be fighting, covered in blood and scars and all kinds of stuff. It's like brutal animal fights, you know? And other than the actual predators like dogs and hawks and shit, Woodwort is considered the most powerful one. If Flippy comes into contact with a hawk or a dog or that entire evil rabbit clan and then loses his mind and tries to go on a killing spree, they'll probably kill him. You gotta understand, if I'm making Flippy the same size as these rabbits in this universe, this would mean that a normal man, where there are scenes where men are chasing the rabbits shooting shotguns at them, that man would be like 100 feet compared to the fucking, you know, Flippy, who would be like, you know, 5 feet or whatever. Comparatively, you know, a dog would be like 35, 40 feet to Flippy if he was 5 feet. Like that's the difference in height that we're talking about in size. Flippy's not that strong. We never see him attacking or fighting anyone that is significantly more powerful or larger than himself, which is something he's gonna have to deal with. And if his whole crazy man, wild PTSD bullshit kicks in, he doesn't have a choice of whether or not he attacks these things. He's just gonna start attacking them and trying to kill them, and he's gonna die. So he's gonna have to make it across this whole long journey and have at no point his PTSD kick in. This shit kicks in every time he hears a loud noise. Like it's constant. He can't go a day without this shit kicking off. So yeah, nah. Flippy's dead. Next up on the list, we have Fievel Mouskewitz from An American Tail. Finally, we're getting to characters that actually have survival skills. I know it sounds weird saying that Flippy doesn't have survival skills, but I don't think freaking out and then trying to murder everyone in your vicinity should really count as survival skills. There's a little more to having survival skills than just killing everybody. You actually have to be good at keeping yourself alive and surviving. And Fievel does actually have those skills. He's clever and street smart and capable of being cautious when he needs to. He goes up against cats trying to kill him, and dogs, and big ass fucking rats, and all kinds of other crazy dangers over the course of these two movies. So I actually think he would do better than both Flippy and absolutely Remy. Remy's just trash, man. I don't even know how he's been alive as long as he has. Like, how the fuck did he ever live to adulthood, honestly? The main issue with Fievel, and the reason why he probably won't like he could survive, it's possible, but he probably won't survive, is because of the environment that his movies take place in. In the first American Tail, he's in a city. The only dangers he has to deal with are like other mice and rats and cats and shit. That's pretty basic stuff. As long as he stays hidden and stays out of sight, he can more or less kind of survive. The whole movie is about him being a lost child in a new city that does have its dangers, but I would argue nowhere near the dangers of somewhere like Watership Down. There are also cats in Watership Down, but they don't even come close to the level of danger of like the top dangers in this universe. And the worlds that these two stories take place in are very different. In Fievel Goes West, it's not quite as animalistic, despite the fact that there are a lot of animals in the story. Like if Fievel comes across a clan of rats in American Tail, they might want to take advantage of him. They may want to hurt him. They may want to kidnap him. They may want to do things to him. But all of the animals in that universe are a lot more human. They're supposed to represent real world human shit, which is not the case for Watership Down. These are animals. If Fievel runs into a clan of rat people that mean to do him harm in Watership Down, they're not going to want to take advantage of him. They're just going to fucking eat him. They're going to rip him apart. They're going to brutalize him. They're going to do all kinds of horrible shit to him. It's not not gonna be as simple as like, hey, let's take advantage of this kid, and like it's a lot more vicious in Watership Down. And the threats he's gonna come face to face with are a lot larger. In American Tail, the cats are the bad guys and they do eat mice, but when they show up, they kind of have this facade of being super nice. They're like, oh no, we're gonna live together in peace. They're trying to manipulate the mice so that they can get something that they want from them. Again, far more human. Fievel's not really gonna have a chance for them to even try to manipulate him in Watership Down because they're not interested in manipulating. They're not interested in using or doing literally anything other than immediately ripping him apart and killing him. Taking Fievel out of American Tail and throwing him into Watership Down would be like taking a character like Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn and throwing them into the universe of Primal. While yes, it's true Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer are street smart and survivors, it's a very different kind of survival than if you were just pick them up and chuck them into the middle of Jurassic Park or some universe with a bunch of crazy monsters that want to rip them apart. It's just completely different, and Fievel doesn't have the skills to survive in this type of environment. Now, there are more monstrous cats in American Tail, mostly in the first movie. Like, the first movie shows the cats as being these giant monsters that are trying to kill them, and the second movie, it does more of the, manipulation type tactics. But Fievel is still in a city, and it's not like the entire city is just populated with fucking monster-eating cats. They're there, but they're less. It's not like they have to deal with it every single second of their life. But in Watership Down, literally everything you come across is trying to kill you. At one point in Watership Down, there's a scene where all of the rabbits appear and meet this other group of rabbits, and those rabbits welcome him in and be like, oh yeah, come on, we got food, come on in. And all those rabbits, they go in and they eat their food and stuff, but then you start to slowly realize that this other clan that's invited them in are like some death-obsessed cult, and the reason why they're like that is because their home is completely surrounded by a bunch of traps that are going to kill them. So they've all just sort of accepted that life doesn't matter because of how often they die to the traps. And then when the rabbits try to leave because they start getting creeped out by this weird death-worshipping rabbit cult, one of the strongest rabbits gets hit on a snare and nearly dies, and all the other rabbits have to try and get him out. And then once that happens, they're like, okay, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, this place is crazy. What's Fievel gonna do when he goes there? If the absolute strongest soldiers of the main rabbit faction got caught in one of the traps and nearly killed, Fievel doesn't have any way of figuring out that shit and getting over that. If he gets caught in a trap, he's fucking dead. There's nothing he can do about it. He doesn't have that level of survival skills. It's just a totally different kind. So maybe he can make it through. Maybe he'll be smart enough, especially after the stuff that he learns in the first and second movie of American Tail. He does become smarter, and I think it'll be harder for people like that cult to manipulate him into coming in because he's kind of used to people trying to do that at that point. But there's still so many, like, he won't be able to see the traps, for instance. When he passes through the land, even if he doesn't accept their invitation to go in and eat with them, he will still more than likely get caught on one of the traps because he doesn't have the skills to actually look out for it. The rabbits in the movie actually do have the skills to look out for these types of traps. They mention it when it happens. It's like, no, you know better. Like, you know that you should be looking out for this kind of stuff. Fievel doesn't even know this shit exists because he lives in a city. He doesn't live out in the country where these things are common. He doesn't know to only travel at night, and if you're traveling during the day, only travel through tall grass and places where people can't see you because there's fucking hawks that are gonna come down and snatch you if you try to go out in the sun. Like, he doesn't know any of this stuff because the environment that he's in his own world doesn't even have these things for him to worry about. While I think his intelligence is high enough that he could figure some of it out, he's not figuring it all out. And when he starts running into things like the rival clan of rabbits that literally enslave people, starve them to death, force the women into sexual slavery, that is in this child's movie, poor Fievel is just not, he can't do anything. He's essentially either going to be killed or enslaved by someone else until he gets old enough to try and figure out some way to escape and survive on his own. And even if he somehow gets through all of that, he drags his fucking tired body through the grime, sweat, and tears of the American frontier all the way to the end. He gets to paradise. He will then get fucking deported. America! I think it's possible, but very, very unlikely. Last up, but certainly not least, we have Judy Hopps from Zootopia. Let me be clear, I actually do like this movie. I find it to be an enjoyable movie, but the racism allegory in this film is so fucking awful. I have no idea what they're trying to say in this movie. It's very confusing, and the message is all muddled and fucking weird. Like, I get the idea, right? It's like racism is bad, it's not good, it's not justified, whatever. The prey in the movie, like the non-carnivorous animals, you know, deer and fucking rabbits and shit, those are supposed to be the majority race, I guess white people. And then the predators are supposed to be like the minority race who's being treated poorly by the majority race. I get that. And like the whole message of the movie is like, you know, we need to come together as one people. You shouldn't hate people for being another race. I get it. I understand. But the message doesn't make any fucking sense with what the plot of the movie's about. Because in the plot of the movie, they established at the very start that the predators at one point did hunt and kill all the prey. And then later in the movie, the whole thing about them turning the predators into savages again, like that's the whole thing. Like they used to be savage and now they're being turned into savages again, and people are thinking that the savagery is coming back and it's going to be like an issue again. That means that the prey's racism is 100% justified because they used to fucking eat them and now they're coming back and doing it again. This completely destroys the allegory that you're trying to say. Like there's one scene in the movie where there's like this like prey chick who's sitting on a train or something, and she's got her kid with her, and there's a tiger sitting next to them, and she like shields her kid and kind of slides away from the tiger. And that's supposed to be an allegory of like racism and like, oh, don't go next to that, you know, black guy or whatever, right? But in the movie, it's justified because that tiger might fucking eat her kid. Like, that's a serious problem. Like, what exactly is the allegory you're trying to go with when it comes to races of the real world? Like, if the prey are white people and then the predators are like the other races, they used to be savage and then they became not savage and we're scared they're gonna be savage again. So like, what's the allegory? That black people used to chuck fucking spears at us and now they're gonna start chucking spears again? Like that never happened. Not in the way that the movie shows, and not in a way that's like, they're justified. That chick Giselle in the movie, the fucking musician who's like, oh, all this hatred is, but she sounds like a fucking idiot because they actually have something legitimate to be afraid of here. They fucking eat you. That's a problem. Even by the end of the movie, when you're like, oh, anyone can be savage. I get that, sure. Anyone can be savage. Fine. It doesn't change the fact that in the history of your own movie, the predators actually were savage. It was in their genetic nature to be savage. That's written into the plot of the film. It doesn't work as an allegory to real life because black people aren't genetically inclined to eat me. What a horrible racist message. It's so confused. But outside of the terrible message, I actually do like the movie. Like, the characters are likable and it's funny and, you know, it's got good action scenes. It's fun. It's a cool movie. And I actually think Judy Hopps is going to do really, really well here. She's very easily the smartest character on this list as of right now. I mean, Fievel comes, I guess, pseudo close, but he is still a child. You know, give him a couple of years. Judy's relatively good at surviving. She's also very fast. She's actually shown outrunning and outmaneuvering larger, bigger creatures than herself. At one point, she outruns a fucking panther and survives against the panther. She outsmarts the panther and then chains the panther up to a post. Like, she is shown dealing with a lot of stuff. She beats a rhino in a boxing match by tricking it into punching itself. She actually does have legitimate skills here, and I think that she'll be able to survive. Really, the only way that I see her failing and actually dying is the fact that she comes from a fucking Disney movie and she isn't aware of how this world works. She might see a cat or a dog or one of these other animals that in the Watership Down universe would rip her apart, and she may approach these creatures to try and talk and have a conversation, not aware of the world that she finds herself in, and she will be immediately ripped apart by all of these creatures. So that might kill her. But I do think that she can kind of get a hang of what's going on relatively quickly, as the idea of savagery and animals going savage is something that she is aware of because it does exist in her own universe. So she may go up and talk to a dog or whatever, and the moment it sees her and starts barking, she'll immediately know, okay, savage, gotcha. And then she'll kind of realize, okay, all the animals in here are savage, and then from there she'll kind of work her way on. But even the other creatures in this universe that aren't savage kind of want to try and kill her. Like, when she comes into contact with the evil bunny clan, seeing how the internet has, I mean, there's really no way of putting it. They really want to fuck this rabbit. Like, they really, really want to fuck this rabbit. It's like a constant thing, people wanting to fuck that. I don't think I've talked to a dude in this movie who hasn't at least mentioned one time that they kind of want to fuck this rabbit. The fact that there's actual legitimate sex slavery in this movie, if General Woundwort literally offering his most loyal followers women so that they can just use to their pleasure, Judy might kind of become a target. It's really brutal and fucked up to say, but you know what? Watership Down's a really brutal and fucked up world, so it is what it is. If she crosses over into their environment and sees them actually talking to her and not being savages, she may be fooled into believing that they are normal people, not savage. Because in Zootopia, basically everyone are reasonable people who she could just have conversations with. Nobody who isn't savage really tries to do her all that much harm, and the ones that do are very easily convinced into not doing it. Like Mr. Big is very quickly convinced into not murdering her, and the lamb bitch at the end, whose name I'm forgetting, the main villain of the movie, after she finds out that she's been tricked and Judy actually recorded her saying all of this horrible shit, she immediately starts looking terrified even before the police show up, like she can't just kill Judy right there and take the recorder. People don't actually try to go out of their way to murder people all that much or with all that much conviction unless they've gone savage in the Zootopia universe. So she may just approach these other rabbits as if they're like normal dudes, and she might not even know how brutal and vicious they are until it's too late. They've already taken her in and she's, boom, sex slave, which would pretty much be the end of her story. What did I just do? I feel like I just created like the sexual fantasies of so many people out there. Like, oh, Judy Hopps as my fucking sex slave. That was masturbation noises I was making. That's you guys. That's the internet. But yeah, I'm gonna give Judy Hopps the benefit of the doubt and say that she's a little more clever than that, and that she'll probably be able to escape. Just do what she can to avoid these people. And honestly, despite her being a female rabbit, which in Watership Down, the female rabbits are very clearly weaker than the male rabbits. They make that very clear in the movie. Judy is generally seen as, well, we don't really see her compared to other rabbits, but she is very tough and she's able to take on even animals that are a lot larger than her. So she would likely be able to take on at least a couple of the rabbits on her own, and they'd be kind of surprised by this chick who could kind of kick their ass, which would be pretty interesting. But I think that she could more or less survive. She just has to be careful, smart, and not go out of her way to put herself in danger when she really doesn't have to. Even in Watership Down, there's a lot of scenes where characters put themselves in danger on purpose because there's things they need to accomplish. Like there's this one part where they actually, in Watership Down, they actually get to the place they need to get to pretty early on in the movie. There's like a solid 20-30 minutes left of the movie when they actually get to that location, and they realize once they get there, they only have males, and they're like, we're all gonna die off if we don't get some females. So they have to force themselves to leave again to go find females so that they can continue their population, their clan doesn't die out. And that's like the whole last third of the film is them trying to get a bunch of females. Actually, that's a pretty important point to make. In Watership Down, females are extremely valuable. We actually do see a scene in the movie when the evil clan, there's a couple of people who try to leave the evil clan, they try to escape, and the evil clan catches them and brings them back. One of the males that escaped is forced into guard duty where he is not allowed to eat or drink for days. He just has to stand in this one location and guard this one hole. And it was specifically stated by one of the soldier rabbits that the plan was to just let him starve to death or let him die of thirst, and that they had never intended on ever feeding him again as an example to the rest. Whereas the woman who tried to run away, they brought her back and they marked her and then put her to work, but they didn't punish her beyond that because she's a female and females have value among these clans. They need females to repopulate and keep the clan going. So Judy might be safe from the other rabbit clans simply due to the fact that she's a female, and they won't kill her in the same way that they would kill the male rabbits. So that actually might be a bit of a strength. Really, the only thing she would have to fear is the big animals, and I think she was probably smart enough to stay away from those. So yeah, I think Judy would survive. I think she's got enough going for her that she can survive. But that's going to be all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, join the membership, you get exclusive access to unique videos that no one else can get. Also, don't forget to check down below at the pinned comment where there is a link to the Discord, as well as a second channel. And on that second channel, you will see all sorts of videos that are not survival challenge related that you can enjoy. Things like movie reviews, game reviews, analyses on different stories, and so just whatever. Right now, there's only 2 videos over there, but I'm gonna have more later. I'm just kind of focusing on this channel now, but that one's gonna get bigger in a bit. You'll see, I promise. I'm not lying to you. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?